Hello, I'm Sarah. This is Hardcover Hearts. Welcome back. I'm here to share my rankings for the BookTube Prize Octofinals. I was a judge in the translated fiction division this year. It's a brand new division. After, I think this is the 4th year of it, finally we have translated fiction on the docket. Absolutely delighted, and I would like to thank Robert of Barter Hordes for starting the BookTube Prize and keeping it going and getting it so popular that we've expanded into translated fiction. Okay, so what is the BookTube Prize? So let me kind of share with you a little information about that. It is a prize that's been going on for 4 years in 3 different divisions. So the first is fiction, the second is nonfiction, and then the brand new one, as I mentioned, is translated fiction. This is fiction that's translated into English of books that were published last year. The way the BookTube Prize works is that there is in each division, we start with 48 books, and those books are then in groups of 6, divvied up to a group of judges. I'm a member of a panel. I never meet. I don't know who's in my panel. We never discuss anything. I need to read these books and stack rank them. I submit my rankings, and then the top 3 of the whatever the panel has decided advances. And so in essence, what happens in the 4 different rounds, each time we cut the list in half. So with that said, there's more information. I'll put more information to the BookTube Prize in the description below, so please check that out. And if you are so interested in being a judge, look for all of the information there as well. Okay, so let's get started. I had a wonderful experience this time. So this is translated fiction group D. And let me, in the order per this graphic, let me show you what we have. The first one is Chasing Homer by Lászlo, Krasznahorkai. This is interesting because there's more than just a translator listed. Translated from the Hungarian by John Batki. Art in this book is done by Max Newman, and then music accompanying it is by Sylvester Miklos. So this is a slim little book. It is published by ND Books last year. Next was In Memory of Memory, and this is by Maria Stepanova, and this was translated by Sasha Dugdale. After that is Leila Slimani, The Country of Others, translated by Sam Taylor. Then next in the list is Civilizations by Laurent Binet, and this is translated by Sam Taylor. So he translated both of these from the French. Then we have Membranes, and this is by Ta-wei and translated by Larissa Heinrich. And then lastly, we have The Morning Star by Karl Ove Knausgaard and translated by Martin Aitken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you from lowest to highest my stack ranking and why. Okay, so I was really interested in this. I have heard so many things about this author, and I've never had a chance to read anything from him. And this is Chasing Homer. I think conceptually this was more interesting than it was in execution. So we have a story of a man on the run. We don't know what he's running from, but he is a fugitive. He knows that he will be killed if he is caught, and he is on the move from place to place. Frenetic energy, but it has almost like a Camus style to it, very stylized, very cold, realistic, not a lot of backstory. You're just dropped into the present and everything moves from there. I think the story in and of itself was fine. I liked the writing. I liked the style. I was engaged, and it moved very, very quickly. What I found was that the art was okay. It's this very almost primitive style, stripped back, dark, not a lot of color, type of look and feel. And the music that accompanies it, there's a little QR code at the beginning of each chapter. I couldn't figure out the music, and it was actually getting in the way of my reading experience. So first of all, it's all percussive, which makes sense for like this, frenetic pace and the chase and all of the anxiety that's happening. But it was just clips, and I wasn't sure, am I supposed to start it at the beginning? And am I supposed to read it as the music's playing? Are there points that I'm supposed to reach at the same time? All of a sudden, I became really concerned with the pacing of my reading in line with this music. So very, very quickly, I realized that was not going to work for me, and I did not want to follow that model. So what I would do is I would listen to it, and then I would read, and then it got to be, it was interesting for the first couple chapters, and then I would maybe listen to it after I finished the chapter, but I didn't feel like it significantly added anything to the experience of reading it. And so when you know something is so high concept, and the concept just doesn't work for you, then everything else kind of falls a little bit apart, and that's my feeling with this one. So that's why it is in last place. Then in the 5th position, this one was a surprise for me because I've enjoyed a little bit of what I've read of this author, and so I was looking forward to this, despite how mammoth it was. I mean, this really could be one of the March of the Mammoths. I didn't even think about that. I should have counted it. Oh no, it's not 800. It's 666 pages. I see what you're doing, Karl. This is The Morning Star by Karl Ove Knausgaard. So I think if you've watched my channel, you know that I don't like horror. I don't like frightening, scary types of reads. This had a creepy vibe through the entire thing, which, although I'm not attracted to that, it was interesting, and it did kind of keep me going a little bit. There was some random, really intense violence that kind of flipped me out, and I was like, oh God, am I going to have to read all, is this going to escalate and get worse and worse all throughout? We have a story of a town, and a star, a new star kind of appears in the sky, and it has some repercussions in the lives of all of these people. And we follow different points of view, different perspectives, different stories. For the most part, I liked it. For the most part, as much as I didn't like the brutality and the animal cruelty bits, I was kind of in for it. But then there was a section that involved so much religious sermoning done by one character, and it just went on and on and on. And I hated it. It was enough that it really ruined the experience for me because it took me out. All of a sudden I'm skimming, I'm like, oh my God, when is this gonna end? I started getting irritated, and I get why he put it in there. I wish it was less. And so with the concept of the creepiness and the violence and then this heavy-handed character with the religious overtones, it didn't work for me. It wasn't one of my favorites, so therefore that's number 5. Okay, in the 4th position, This one, I think I would have enjoyed in other circumstances other than the context of this exercise. The book is In Memory of Memory by Maria Stepanova. So this is an interesting time to be reading this book. This is a book about a Russian woman who is kind of going back through her history and her lineage. It opens with one of her relatives having died, and the woman kept a ton of stuff, and so she's going through all of her things, and it's opening up questions, and it's making her curious as to the lore and legends within her family. And it goes, and then it veers off in all sorts of different directions. This reads, it was very confusing because I was like, wait a minute, is this a novel? Or is it autofiction? Or is it nonfiction? Because I was very, very confused for a very long time. This is wide in scope, very experimental. She'll talk, as I mentioned, goes off into these rabbit holes and all of these things. Interesting to a certain degree, but I also kept having the feeling that it's almost like going to a friend of your parents' home and being stuck with the uncle who wants to show you the photo book of people that you don't know and that you have no connection to, and you don't really know how to get out of it. So to a certain extent, I felt that way with this book. I do think that there's important things being said here. I do wish I had read it in a different context because I think I would have enjoyed it more. But for the purposes of ranking and looking at this against the other books in the division, in my grouping, this one ended up being number 4. So in essence, what that means is these, I'm saying, can be dropped from the BookTube Prize advancement. So what did I choose to advance? So in the number 3 section, The Membranes. This is by Ta-wei. Now, very interesting thing about this. And Roz from Scalladandling about the books talked about this in her summary of her BookTube Prize nonfiction reading. She had a phenomenal group. And she had a very similar feeling that I had. So I like to think that I'm in great company with Roz because she's brilliant. But this is a reissue, which means that it's important. It's already been registered as important enough to be given another view, another chance with an audience, whereas everything else is brand new. And so it does feel a little bit like the finger is on the scale already. But I think it's deserving because it's so interesting. This was originally written in 1996. It's set in a dystopian future where the world is no longer habitable, and we have all migrated under the ocean, into the sea, and the technology has allowed for us to live in these membrane-like domes. The whole world exists under the sea, under the ocean. And as such, our skins and bodies have really changed, and radiation is a very big problem. Our main character, Momo, is a single woman. She is an adult. She lives on her own and is okay being on her own. She seems like she's kind of an introvert, has a lot of boundaries up, and doesn't really want to engage with people. It doesn't really feel the need to have friends or have the relationships. But she is a renowned dermatologist, for lack of a better word, and does these very, very specialized skin treatments, where there is a special kind of almost second skin applied to people that allows them to be beautiful, to be safe from radiation. But a side note is that she is able to reuse. They come back, she takes that off, puts on new second skin for them, and she's able to do something incredibly interesting with that material. She has a lot of challenges in her relationship with her mother, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, and we go back and learn about a really tragic childhood that she had. There was so many interesting concepts here, so well executed. The reveal of things was slow and methodical, and I just found it to be quite a book that felt so relevant to today, so interesting. I'm still thinking about some of the things that were talked about in this book. So I'm so glad I read it. I think it would have completely been off my radar were it not for the BookTube Prize judging. And I don't want to say too much more about it because it is so slim. It reads very quickly, but it's packed with twists and turns and interesting concepts, and yeah, so this is my number 3 pick. Number 2, I've read some of this author's work and really like her style. I've read both her fiction and nonfiction. This is Leila Slimani's The Country of Others, and this is translated by Sam Taylor from the French. And in this book we have, it's kind of like a story of a family told through a few different perspectives. We have Mathilde, who is one of the main characters, and she is a young woman, a young French woman who meets and falls in love with a young Moroccan soldier. And not really thinking it through, she marries him and moves to Morocco. And she is naive, impulsive, spoiled, self-centered, and is in for the shock of her life when she arrives in the place that her husband wants to start his farm. Her life is not what she expected it to be at all, and her relationship with her husband changes in ways that she did not expect. She is haughty and continues to send back missives and letters as if life is perfect and wonderful, not really acknowledging how difficult her life is on this farm in Morocco. We also follow her daughter and kind of get a sense of what's happening in Morocco at a very, very interesting time as there's starting to be some pushback against the French, and this family is kind of right at the center of a lot of things that are going to start to happen. My understanding is that this is going to be a series. The book read so smoothly. The characters were interesting. The timing and place was fascinating. I don't know very much about Morocco and Moroccan independence from France, but I'm very, very curious to learn more. So I really enjoyed this and will read the follow-ups that come out for this. So what is left? I will tell you, this blew my mind. By a landslide, this was number 1. Like, it was going to be so hard for something to top this one after I finished it. This is Civilizations by Laurent Binet, and this is also translated from the French by Sam Taylor. This book was a romp, smart, so interesting, so written with such precision, such intelligence. This is an alternative history. What if Christopher Columbus didn't make it back, but instead the Incans and Aztecs ended up arriving in Europe. And what if those Aztecs ended up ruling over some of the kingdoms in Europe? Just absolutely mind-blowing. This kind of twisting of these small little facts that we know in history to change the dynamic of what could happen. I thought it was so fun. I thought the centering of the Incans and the Aztecs in what we think of as world history, which is really European history, was brilliant. It read like an adventure story. It was fun. It was so smart. I laughed so many times. I got angry. It was a phenomenal read. I'm so excited that this is advancing. In fact, my top three, apparently my judges in my panel also agreed, and these are the three that are moving forward. I really hope this goes far. Oh, because this was so great. And now I've heard of some of his previous work, and now I want to go back and find them and read them because, because this was exceptionally good fun. So that is my judging for this round. I'll definitely come back and do not the next round, but the last two rounds because I just enjoy this process so much, and I get to read so many books that I otherwise would not. I would love to know, have you read any of these books? Were you a judge for this group? And what did you think? So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll look forward to talking to you later. Bye.